We live in a world where we're told we are not good enough, and we should either add things to our life or subtract things from our life because we essentially aren't good enough, and we need to appease the society and the culture that we are from. Now, how is this modern bit of advice seen through the lens of the Ashtavakra Gita? Now, for those who don't know, the Ashtavakra Gita is one of the great Nididhyasana texts. Now, a Nididhyasana text is a text that you come across after enlightenment or just on the cusp of enlightenment. Now, the Ashtavakra Gita has an interesting way of looking at this, about this idea of gain and loss. And so essentially, the Ashtavakra is coming from a different perspective, a different point of view as opposed to what our modern society believes. Because we are starting from the sense of an ego where we think that we aren't good enough and we need to get social approval. And we need to be validated by the society and the culture that we are from. Ashtavakra would say this is complete nonsense because that is the game of the jiva, of the persona system of the ego. So the Ashtavakra is the complete opposite because Ashtavakra is coming from the place of the Atman, of the undifferentiated consciousness, that which is within you and within me, which is identical with Brahman, the ultimate reality. So Ashtavakra is coming from that place as opposed to the jiva, right? And so from that place, everything is Atman. Everything is Brahman. You are already perfectly that. There's nothing to add, nothing to gain. You can't lose anything and you can't gain anything. And so in the Ashtavakra Gita, there's a really interesting verse to articulate this idea of gain and loss. In you who are the infinite ocean, let the waves of the universe rise or fall according to their own nature. That means no gain or loss to you. So as I said, Ashtavakra is already starting from the place of that you are the infinite ocean. You are not this finite life, this mortal life living in reality. You are actually one, and you are actually the infinite ocean. But this ignorance, this jiva that is inculcated within our mind, this ego, this socialization process, this conditioning, eclipses that we are the infinite ocean. And we believe that we are these waves doing the ocean, but we are not. We are ultimately the ocean. And so to articulate this, Ashtavakra is kind of using the ocean as an analogy because a wave doesn't add or subtract anything to the ocean. It doesn't. When the wave subsides, it doesn't subtract from the ocean. It just merges and becomes one with the ocean. It neither was a process of gain or loss. And so why he used this gain and loss analogy with an ocean is because the creation of the universe neither adds nor subtracts from the Atman, from that undifferentiated consciousness which you are, that which is Brahman. What could add or subtract from that? That is the ultimate ground of existence. And so Ashtavakra is trying to reorient our focus back in towards the Atman and not being caught in the waves of this finite jiva that we are, which is stuck in this game of gain and loss, where the whole creation of the universe, going through all of the yugas, could never add or subtract anything from the ultimate Atman. It's impossible because the Atman is beginningless. It's endless. And so Ashtavakra uses the ocean in relation to the universe because when we go through the process of the yugas, of the great time cycles of the cosmos, we have this birth and decay of the universe on a macrocosmic level, which is actually similar to you on the microcosmic level because you are a mirror of the universe, as Hermes Trismegistus said, as above, so below. And so you have the universe endlessly going through this creation and dissolution process. But the point here that Ashtavakra is making is that even though the universe is going through this constant flux of creation and dissolution, it does not affect the Atman at all because the Atman is the ultimate reality. It's the ground of all existence. You are that. The whole universe is that. And so the constant creation and dissolution, or the gain and subtraction of life, or gain and loss of life, should not impede you because you are ultimately that. Nothing can be taken away from you, not your ultimate nature. You only feel that when you are abiding in the jiva as opposed to the Atman. You then feel you aren't worthy, so you need social approval or validation from society or culture. But you need none of that. You need none of that because you are ultimately the Atman. And so the Atman is beyond time and beyond causation. It's only the universe which is bound to time. because creation and dissolution are a product of time. Do you see? The Atman is not a product of time. It is beginningless and endless. There was no start. There was no end. It is infinite. It is eternal. And so it is not affected by time or causation because it is beyond both. Both time and causation are still a product of the jiva. The jiva is a product of time and causation because as a persona, as an ego, you were born and you will die. You are part of that process. But can you abide in that which is infinite within you, which is the Atman? This is Ashtavakra's challenge in this, because in reality, that's all that exists. Nothing else exists. This whole idea of time and causation, of good and bad, of right and wrong, all of this projection from the jiva onto reality doesn't exist. Ashtavakra is highlighting here that all that exists, again, is the Atman, is the Brahman. So as he says, that means no gain or loss to you. How could there be? You are verily Atman. You are that which is Brahman. There is no doubt about this. But we buy into the illusion of Maya within our own mind, within our own ego and persona system. And then we turn away from Brahman. And then we fragment our mind into a million pieces. And then we cannot see the true nature of reality around us that is one with us, because there is no separation between what we are experiencing and who we are. This whole idea of subject-object split is an illusion, and this is what Ashtavakra is trying to tell us, but we keep falling for this ignorance that we have of the Brahman because we're turning away and we are becoming immersed in the a million pieces that we believe we are. But you will never find true liberation and freedom from that place because only suffering can come from there. It's only when you realize you are the Atman that true happiness is experienced. And it's really an ultimate contentment. Happiness is really the wrong word. Contentment is the right word. A real peace once we abide in the Atman. But again, we can't fall for the illusion that we are a product of time and causation. We truly have to abide and come to the reality that we are the beginningless, endless, and infinite Atman. That is who we truly are, and that makes us identical with Brahman, the ultimate reality of existence. Shanti, shanti, shanti.